me be real with you. The fastest way to lose yourself in a relationship is to confuse being chosen with being convenient. Too many women are mistaking crumbs for commitment, thinking his good morning text means the same as showing up every day. It doesn't. A man who sees you as the one moves like you're part of his destiny. A man who sees you as just an option, he moves like you're a backup plan. And if you can't tell the difference, you're about to spend months, maybe years, giving your heart to someone who never planned to give you his future. When a man truly sees you as the one, something in the way he moves, speaks, and lives begins to shift. You stop being a chapter in his life, and you become part of the title of the book. The blueprint of his decisions changes because you're not just a detail, you are the detail that determines the design. But when you're simply an option, when you're one name in a list of names, one number in a phone he scrolls past, then you'll see a different rhythm. He doesn't rearrange his world for you. He fits you in where it's convenient. It's not that he doesn't enjoy your company. It's that you're not the priority that demands he shift everything else around. And you'll feel that difference long before you admit it. When you're the one, you'll notice he's present. Even on his busiest day, he'll find a way to connect. A quick call between meetings, a text that says, thinking about you. A late night conversation where he's exhausted but still listening. But when you're an option, there's always a reason he can't show up. Always a later. Always a next time. Always a sorry, I've just been swamped. And those excuses may sound believable at first, but patterns are louder than promises. People make time for what matters to them, and if you matter, he will make that time in ways you cannot mistake for anything else. See, a man can't hide where his priorities are for long. It leaks through his choices. If you're the one, he'll think twice before saying yes to something that might take him away from you too often. He'll want you included in his world, not just occasionally invited. He'll remember the details because he's paying attention, not because he's trying to impress you, but because you're imprinted in his mind. And when you're just an option, you'll repeat yourself constantly. You'll remind him of things you thought he'd remember. You'll feel like you're trying to insert yourself into his calendar instead of being part of the foundation it's built on. And here's the truth people don't like to talk about. Being the one isn't about how beautiful you are, how smart you are, or how much you've given. It's about how much a man has decided he values you. You can't force that decision. You can't convince someone to prioritize you if, in his mind, you're not already in that position. That's why your power is in observation, not persuasion. Look at where you are in his world without the filter of excuses. When a man truly wants you, you don't have to question it. When you're just an option, you'll find yourself constantly wondering where you stand. Now, let's talk about effort, because effort is a mirror of value. A man's actions toward you reflect exactly how much he sees you as a part of his future. If he's serious, you'll see consistent effort, not just during the honeymoon stage, not just when it's easy, but when life gets hard. When you're the one, he'll show up for the good days and the bad ones. He'll make sacrifices, not because he has to, but because he can't imagine letting you down. He'll plan, he'll prepare. He'll think ahead, not because you demanded it, but because he's thinking of you even when you're not around. When you're an option, effort looks different. It's sporadic, it comes in waves, intense one week, distant the next. You might get grand gestures now and then, but they're usually followed by long gaps of absence. It's like he's doing just enough to keep you interested, but never enough to make you secure. And if you're honest, deep down, you know the difference between genuine, sustained effort and temporary bursts of attention. The problem is, many ignore that truth because they'd rather believe the peaks are the norm instead of seeing them for what they are, distractions from the valleys. Effort is not measured in gifts or flattery. It's measured in the willingness to consistently show up, even when it's inconvenient. Think about it. When a man wants that promotion, he'll stay up all night working. When he wants that championship, he'll train through exhaustion. When he wants that new car, he'll budget every penny until it's his. Why? Because what he values, he makes room for. And if you're the one, you'll see that same commitment in how he treats you. But if you're an option, you'll notice that your needs, your concerns, your presence often take a backseat to whatever else he's chasing. I've seen people confuse chemistry with commitment. Chemistry can be instant, but commitment is proven over time. A man can be attracted to you, can even care for you. But if you're an option, that attraction won't push him to restructure his world. It won't make him protect the relationship like it's part of his legacy. That's the difference. The one gets legacy, level investment. An option gets situational effort. And let's address something uncomfortable. Sometimes, when you're an option, you get effort that looks real only because he's afraid to lose the comfort you bring. That's not love. That's convenience. He might call more when you pull away, but that's survival instinct, not devotion. He's fighting to keep what benefits him, not to build a future that includes you. This is why you have to watch a man's consistency more than his charm. Words can win the moment, but patterns reveal the truth. When you're the one, effort is not just in the beginning. It's in year 1, year 5, year 10. It's in the way he's still curious about you, still protective, still willing to do what it takes to keep the connection alive. When you're an option, the consistency fades and the excuses grow. You'll hear more, "I've just been busy," and less, "I'll make time for you." If you don't learn to tell the difference, you'll end up giving your loyalty to someone who only gives you fragments of theirs. You'll keep interpreting crumbs as a feast, and the danger in that is you'll lose the ability to recognize a man who would truly give you the whole loaf. The man who sees you as the one doesn't want you to question where you stand. He doesn't want you to doubt his intentions. He moves in a way that makes you feel secure without you having to beg for reassurance. And this is the part that requires you to be honest with yourself. If you are constantly making excuses for why he's not showing up, you've already answered your own question. Because when a man is locked in, when his mind and heart have decided you are it, he will move heaven and earth to be there. He will rearrange his schedule, his priorities, even his comfort zone to make sure you know you're important. You won't be waiting for him to have time, because he'll create it. There's a phrase I've always believed in. People treat you according to the role you allow them to play in your life. If you allow yourself to be an option, if you keep showing up when he's only half showing up, you train him to believe that's enough. But when you hold yourself to the standard of being the one, you will only attract a man who's ready to give that level of respect, effort, and presence. Anything less will fall away, not because you chased it, but because you refused to settle for it. The real difference between an option and the one isn't just in how he treats you when it's easy. It's in how he treats you when it's hard. Anyone can be sweet when the sun is shining, but the man who truly sees you as part of his life will still protect you in the storm. He'll still be present when he's tired, frustrated, or under pressure. Because for him, your place in his life isn't conditional on convenience. It's a commitment he's chosen and continues to choose every day. So, pay attention. Watch the patterns. See where you fit in his priorities. Not the version he talks about, but the version he lives. Because being the one means you are woven into the fabric of his life. Being an option means you're an accessory he can take off when it doesn't match his plans. And you deserve to be in the fabric, not just hanging on the side. When a man sees you as the one, you don't just get his presence, you get his emotional presence. And there's a big difference between a man being physically next to you and a man actually being with you. A man can take you to dinner, sit across from you, smile, nod, and still not truly be there. His mind might be somewhere else, his heart guarded, his walls still up. But when you're the one, those walls start coming down. He's not just telling you stories about his day. He's sharing pieces of himself he doesn't give to anyone else. He lets you see behind the curtain. The fears, the doubts, the failures he's never told anyone. Because when a man is all in, vulnerability stops feeling like weakness and starts feeling like trust. When you're just an option, the relationship will always feel like it's living on the surface. Conversation stays safe. You talk about fun topics, maybe some struggles, but it never gets to the raw, unfiltered truth of who he is. He'll show you the parts that are polished, the image he wants you to see. But the messy, complicated, real him, that stays locked away. Not because he's cold, but because he's not invested enough to let you all the way in. And make no mistake, opening up is a risk for a man. He doesn't do it lightly. If you're the one, he takes that risk because he sees a future where you are part of him, not just someone he knows for a season. Think about it. In a world where so many are taught to hide their pain, to man up, and never let anyone see them bleed, choosing to be emotionally open is an act of courage. And a man will only be that brave with someone he believes won't use that vulnerability against him. If he keeps you at arm's length emotionally, if he changes the subject when things get deep, if he avoids those moments where he could let you in, that's a sign you might be in the space of option rather than only. Emotional presence is more than just listening when you talk. It's about him being in tune with you. Noticing when you're off without you saying a word. Remembering the way you like your coffee. Picking up on your moods, your silences, your energy. The man who sees you as the one develops an awareness of you that comes from caring deeply. He's not just there to be entertained by you. He's there to understand you. And understanding takes effort. It means slowing down, asking questions, and being willing to hear the answers even if they're uncomfortable. Now let's talk about the future, because that's where the difference gets loud. When a man is serious about you, the future is not a secret. It's not a puzzle you have to solve. It's not something you have to keep asking about just to get a vague answer. He brings it up without you having to push for it. Because in his mind, you're already part of it. You'll hear him say, wait, more than I. You'll hear him talk about trips you'll take next year, where you might live, the kind of life you could build together. And those aren't just nice words to fill the moment. He's taking mental steps toward making them real. When you're an option, the future is blurry. He keeps things in the moment. He might say he likes being with you. He enjoys your company. But when you start talking about what's next, you'll notice him pull back. You'll hear phrases like, let's not get ahead of ourselves, or we'll see where this goes. At first, that might sound like patience or wisdom, but over time, it reveals itself as hesitation. And hesitation is the enemy of commitment. If a man is hesitant to see you in his future, it's because he hasn't truly decided you belong there. Some will argue, but maybe he's just scared. And yes, fear is real. But here's the truth. When a man is convinced you are the one, fear doesn't stop him. He might move carefully, but he moves forward. Fear becomes something to work through, not an excuse to stand still. He'll take steps, even if they're small, because losing you would be a bigger risk than facing the future. But when you're an option, fear becomes a shield. He hides behind it to keep from making choices that would tie him closer to you. The man who's serious doesn't just imagine you in his life. He starts aligning his decisions with that vision. He thinks about career moves, living arrangements, financial goals, all with you in mind. He considers how his choices today will impact the life he wants to share with you tomorrow. He invests in stability, not just for himself, but for the two of you. And you'll feel that intention in the way he includes you in his decisions. It's not about control. It's about building together. You can tell a lot by how a man talks about the future when you're not even in the conversation. Listen to him when he's talking about his goals, his dreams, his plans. If you're the one, you'll naturally show up in that picture. If you're an option, you'll notice you're rarely mentioned. Not because he's forgetting, but because he's not factoring you in. And that's the moment where you have to be honest with yourself. Are you building a life with someone who's also building a life with you? Or are you building around someone who's only building for himself? Future planning isn't about rushing into marriage or making grand declarations overnight. It's about intention. If he's thinking long term, you'll see him taking steps that show he's considering what's best for both of you. He won't just be talking about a future. He'll be preparing for it. That might mean saving money, making career decisions with location in mind, or even discussing values and beliefs to see if they align. Those aren't romantic conversations for everyone, but they are the conversations that solid foundations are built on. The absence of that planning speaks volumes. If you've been with someone for months, even years, and there's no sign of intentional planning, that's not an oversight. That's a choice. It means he's keeping his options open. And if you ignore that, you risk waking up one day realizing you've been holding space in your life for someone who was never planning to fill it. Here's where many people get caught. They believe time spent equals commitment. But time doesn't make you the one. A man can spend years with you and still treat you as an option if he's never mentally or emotionally decided to build a future with you. You don't become the one by waiting it out. You become the one when he chooses to see you that way and aligns his actions accordingly. So watch for the signs. Is he sharing himself with you beyond the surface? Is he inviting you into the spaces of his mind and heart that he doesn't show the world? Is he talking about the future in ways that place you at the center, not on the sidelines? Those are the clues that tell you where you truly stand. When a man's heart is in it, there's no confusion. He doesn't keep you wondering if you're important. He shows you through his emotional openness and his plans for tomorrow. When his heart isn't fully in it, you'll find yourself trying to decode mixed signals, overthinking every word, searching for reassurance that never really comes. And that's not love, that's limbo. And limbo is where options lie, not where the one belongs. When a man sees you as the one, respect is not a performance, it's his default. You don't have to fight for it, negotiate for it, or wonder if it's real. It shows in the smallest moments, how he speaks to you when he's frustrated, how he talks about you when you're not in the room, how he treats your boundaries when no one's watching. Respect is not about grand gestures or special occasions. It's in the daily discipline of recognizing your worth and refusing to cross certain lines. If you're the one, he will guard your dignity like it's part of his own. When you're an option, respect becomes conditional. It's present when things are good, but it starts to fade the moment tension rises. He might interrupt you mid-sentence, talk over you, dismiss your feelings, or ignore the boundaries you've set. He'll apologize when you get upset, but the behavior will repeat because in his mind, your limits aren't tied to a non-negotiable value. And here's the truth many overlook. The way a man responds to your no will tell you more about his respect for you than anything he says when you agree with him. A man who truly respects you doesn't just respect the version of you that's happy and agreeable. He respects the version of you that says, I'm not okay with that. He respects the days when you speak up for yourself, the moments when you demand better. And he doesn't try to make you feel guilty for having standards. When you're the one, your boundaries are not obstacles to him. They're guideposts that show him how to love you right. But when you're just an option, boundaries become negotiable in his mind. He'll test them, push them, and sometimes outright ignore them to see how much he can get away with. And if you bend, if you keep making exceptions, he learns quickly that your boundaries are more of a suggestion than a standard. That's how respect erodes, not in one big betrayal, but in small, repeated choices where you compromise your worth to keep the peace. Respect also shows in the way he talks about you to others. When you're the one, he speaks with pride, not just about your beauty, but about your mind, your character, your heart. He defends you when others speak carelessly about you, and he never lets anyone diminish your name in his presence. When you're an option, you might find out he talks differently about you, depending on the audience. Maybe he downplays the relationship around certain people, or leaves room for others to think he's available. That's not just disrespect. That's a declaration of where you truly stand in his life. And then there's consistency, the final and most undeniable proof of where you stand. Anyone can be great for a week. Anyone can make you feel special for a month. But consistency is the quiet test that separates commitment from convenience. The man who sees you as the one doesn't just show up when it's easy, exciting, or convenient. He shows up on the days when it's hard, when life is pulling him in 10 different directions, when the spark isn't burning as bright as it did in the beginning. Consistency is not about perfection. It's about predictability in the best way. It's knowing that if he says he'll be there, he'll be there. It's knowing that his words and his actions are in alignment, not just once in a while, but as the standard. If he's consistent, you don't have to wonder where you stand. His patterns reassure you without you having to ask for constant proof. When you're just an option, you get inconsistency disguised as life happens. You get days or weeks where he's fully engaged, followed by periods where he's distant, distracted, or unreachable. He reappears just enough to keep you from walking away, but never enough to make you feel secure. And if you're not careful, you'll start to accept this as normal, telling yourself that everyone gets busy, forgetting that busy people still make time for their priorities. The danger of inconsistency is that it conditions you to live on emotional highs and lows. You start chasing the good days and enduring the bad ones, hoping the effort you see sometimes will eventually become the effort you see all the time. But that's not how it works. Patterns don't change without intention, and intention only exists when someone truly values what they have. Consistency is also about emotional steadiness. A man who's all in doesn't swing between extremes of affection and withdrawal. He doesn't make you question his love on Monday and then overwhelm you with attention on Friday. His care is steady, his communication is steady, his effort is steady. Because for him, love isn't just a feeling. It's a choice he makes daily, and that choice looks the same in every season. If you watch closely, you'll notice that consistency requires discipline. It's easy to be attentive when everything's new and exciting, but it takes discipline to keep showing up with the same energy when life gets routine, when challenges come, when the novelty wears off. That's why consistency is such a strong indicator of where you stand. It's not powered by infatuation. It's powered by commitment. Here's the part many don't want to admit. Inconsistency is a form of clarity. If a man can be consistent with his job, his hobbies, his friends, his workouts, but can't be consistent with you, it's not because he's incapable. It's because you're not high enough on his priority list for him to apply that same discipline. And once you accept that, you stop making excuses for behavior that's telling you the truth every single day. Respect and consistency are deeply connected. You can't have one without the other. A man who respects you will be consistent because he understands that unreliable love is not love at all. And a man who's consistent is showing respect by honoring the trust you've placed in him. When either one is missing, it's only a matter of time before the relationship starts to crumble under the weight of uncertainty and disappointment. So, pay attention to the way you're treated when no one is looking. Pay attention to whether your boundaries are honored without you having to repeat them over and over. Pay attention to whether his actions match his words. Not just for weeks, but for months and years. Because these are not just signs of how he feels about you. They are the blueprint for how your life with him will look in the long run. If respect is missing now, it will be missing later. If consistency is shaky now, it will be shaky later. People don't magically become more disciplined, more respectful, or more committed over time unless they decide to. And that decision is rarely made after years of treating someone as an option. You teach people how to treat you by what you accept. If you keep accepting disrespect and inconsistency, you'll keep getting it. If you require respect and consistency as the bare minimum, you filter out anyone who can't or won't give it. The man who sees you as the one will not make you fight for the basics. He won't need to be convinced to treat you well or reminded to keep showing up. He will do those things naturally because losing you would be unthinkable to him. And that's the standard. Not just someone who says you're important, but someone who proves it through respect that never wavers and consistency that never fades.